NFL Week 8 was actually probably one of the most exciting ones we've had thus far this season. I mean, a number of games that came down to the last play of the game. How can you not like that? We had some overtime games as well. And honestly, I was thrilled with the action that we saw. A lot of stuff to talk about, though, because, oh boy, it really was just nonstop. But, ladies and gentlemen, this is our NFL Week 8 recap. Welcome back to the show. Also, welcome back, Alex Krop, AK, making his return after a few weeks.
Yes.
Right? We're happy to have you back, okay? I mean, of course,
I'm
I've
I'm I'm fired up.
yeah, I've been holding down the case the
you were I
past
mean you
couple
were
weeks, man.
incredible on
Oh, thank you.
yeah.
Don't flatter me. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean
but
it's all right. Here's the real thing. I mean, I needed a delay because I was getting all this merch in so I could just start looking fresh on the
you mean
podcast.
speaking of
I
that?
need
Oh, I
I need
see
to
you
start
wearing that.
repping it.
Footy is underrated merch. Shout out to our AFL fans. Love you all, and
Oh yeah.
our normal football fans, American fans, right here. Please check out Australian football. It is ridiculous. It's the craziest stuff. Also, there is one American on in Australia, Mason Cox. He's 6'10". Okay, and he's nicknamed Coxzilla. Check him out. And of
Yeah.
course, I am
He's
rocking
incredible.
that brand new premium fourth long sweatshirt. Super nice fleece inside. It really does feel amazing. I'm so happy. It came in early too, so it's like an early Christmas present. God bless it. But let's get on to things because, of course, we got our game by game analysis and breakdown. Then we're going to give you our buy or sell. And then, of course, it's time for the Week 9 power rankings. But, Alex, the first game last week was our Thursday night action in the little NFC South stuff. And it was the Falcons at the Panthers. The Falcons actually take this 25-17. And I think this is only because they only won this because they didn't get out to a huge lead and did not have a 99% chance of winning this any time in the game.
I, I mean, I think they found the formula is really blow it, but when you have that 25-7 lead in the game, but I think this is a game that, ever since Dan Quinn got out,
Mm-hmm.
Raheem Morris seems like he's got that defense fighting a little bit harder. Their defense actually looks pretty good. I mean, the Panthers offense is a really good, kind of I would say it's a mid to above average offense, and didn't look like DJ Moore could really get involved in the game. Mike Davis got really shut down for the most part. Robbie Anderson didn't do much. I mean, they really just kind of corralled that whole offense, and the Falcons offense was able to put enough points on the board to come away with the W. But I mean, it still doesn't change the fact that this team is 2-6, two and
Yeah,
seven. So
two
it,
and
it,
six.
it doesn't really affect much, to be honest with you.
See what it
But
seems like. It just seems like after Dan Quinn was fired, it just looks with the eye test that they're playing harder and that they actually have more passion for the game. Which honestly, I'm not too surprised. Change the culture, fire Dan Quinn, get the jam out of there, and it looks like they actually have belief. So it's really obvious. Maybe we had a situation like we had in Houston where Bill O'Brien did not go out quietly. JJ
mm-hmm.
Watt, Deshaun Watson were very adamant in getting into fights between players and coaches, and other coaches and coaches together. Just a whole mess there. And it seems
Yeah,
like kind of the same thing happened for the Falcons, where the team did not respect Dan Quinn. I don't blame him. I really don't.
yeah. I mean, it's almost like their team is less of a joke and more of an actual football team. It seemed like under Dan Quinn, it was just comical
They
how
were
we
a
were going to
meme,
lose this
straight
game, and
up.
it's just yeah, and it's just like it seems like they're a normal football team that can put together a game plan, execute it, and win on a Sunday or a Thursday or a Monday. But it definitely took too long. But I think they're going to be heading in the right direction. I think their next key is to figure out, is this the core that they want moving forward with an aging Todd Gurley, an aging Matt Ryan, an aging Julio. Ridley's a stud,
I
but
think they
they need
drained
to
it.
overhaul that defense.
I think they drained that team. But
Yeah, I
well,
mean,
obviously they didn't do anything on this trade deadline. It was unfortunate. The most important day of this year, especially in America, November 3rd, NFL trade deadline, and it just kind of fell flat.
it fell very flat. It was just super underwhelming. I mean, you had Will Fuller trending on Twitter, you had Julio Jones trending on Twitter, and none of those guys it seemed like were in
They were
play at
trending
all.
because they weren't getting traded. It sucked. I
Yeah,
think I think the best
such a tease.
the worst part about this game though, the Falcons and Panthers, is we finally get a game um on Thursday night, and we didn't even get to see, and there's someone there for the Chick-fil-A, man.
I know. I
The
know.
few
I
times
mean,
it's
that's the thing
actually
is,
open is that on Thursdays or Mondays, we don't get people.
yeah, it's
2020,
really
bro.
it's a tragedy.
Hey, next game though, we had another great divisional matchup between the Patriots and the Bills. You know, the Bills all these years have just been getting bullied by Big Brother over there in Foxborough. I mean, never be able to win that division. This year, it seems like it's theirs. And the Bills do come out. They do beat the Patriots 24-21. The thing is though, is that the Bills they look fine, but it looks they're like in third gear the whole time, and they could never really hit the clutch and put it into fourth. It looks like they're just stalling for half of it. And that's why the Patriots actually almost won. They're in field goal position. But then, of course, you have Cam Newton, the legend, fumbling deep in Bills territory.
Yeah, this was just a really sloppy game by both teams, and it's almost kind of what you're accustomed to with these NFC East matchups. That there's a lot of turnovers,
AFC.
a lot of bad or AFC East, excuse me, a lot of bad play. But here's what really concerns me: Cam, since he got COVID, 157 passing yards, 2 picks against the Broncos, 98 passing yards, 3 picks against the Niners. Both those games at home, and then at the Bills, 174 yards, no touchdowns. He has 0 touchdowns, 5 picks, and God knows how many fumbles. But he just is not playing like a bad quarterback right now. He's just playing like the worst quarterback in the league right now. And there's not really much hope as far, I mean, what they traded for Isaiah Ford. They traded a 6th-round pick for a receiver who's 5'6", 5'7". I mean, it doesn't seem like they're really trying to go for it, which is weird to kind of connect a Bill Belichick team and a team that doesn't look like it's had any interest in making the playoffs or has any of the horses to actually get it there. So I'm just confused where they're going, and I don't really know what they can do because they haven't drafted well over the last couple of years. So how do they make this team better?
They just need another 6th-round pick from Michigan, I think. But funny you bring up, someone does. You bring up Cam Newton, but someone there, whether it be the defense, whether it be Bill Belichick, whether it be Cam Newton, whether it be some other entity, someone has to be blamed for the shortcomings of the Patriots this season, and we'll get to that later in the show. Next game, let's talk about one of the. I mean, this week was just filled with a few big surprises, and this was one of them. The Titans at the Bengals. And do you hear a trap game? Because the Titans lose 31-20, and that Titans defense, a good Titans defense, just utterly was. They just did not show up at all this game, and it was kind of surprising, especially because they had a decent game against the Steelers last week in the defeat, and now they just don't get any sort of pass rush on that Bengals offensive line, which is awful to start the season. And now they're already missing guys to injury, and they still couldn't get pressure on Joe Burrow. What is up with that?
So I know for the our listeners on podcast form right now, they can't see the face that I'm making when Ross said the good Titans defense, but I don't know what universe you're a part of, but this Titans defense is absolutely abysmal. They cannot stop anyone right now. I think you're thinking of the Titans defense from last year. I mean, you think of this team as like your ground and pound, give the ball to Derrick Henry, shorten the game, play good defense, get after the quarterback. They do not have someone that can get after the quarterback. Davian Clowney is not playing well. Their secondary is not good.
Now
Their
they cut Vic Beasley.
yeah, their linebacking core has been riddled with injuries. They gave up
But why
30
don't you
points
cut
to
Vic
the
Beasley real
Jaguars.
quick?
It doesn't make any sense. I mean, he's clearly not getting any pressure on the quarterback as of what their numbers have shown, but I don't think that's a guy that you just cut.
No.
But 30 points to the Jags, 30 points to the Vikings, 36 to the Texans, 27 to the Steelers, 31 to the Bengals. I mean, this defense is just not good. But what I think was the bigger takeaway here was it didn't seem like a game where the Bengals looked like the worst team. They looked like the better team from start to finish. They actually had really good O-line play, which is another testament to how bad that Titans pass rush is. I mean, the Bengals were giving up 5, 6, 7 sacks a game, and they gave up 0 against the Titans.
They gave
and
up pressures.
This Bengals offensive line is garbage,
So
and they could
bad.
not get one pressure on Joe Burrow, who seems like he's been a tackling dummy for the first 7 weeks of the year. But Joe Burrow looked good. He looked like he was in control of the game the entire time. Definitely outplayed Ryan Tannehill. That offense definitely outplayed the Titans defense. And this Titans defense that they get behind in the game, that's not the formula for a winning a winning day for this team, and they need to be up. They need to have a lead. They need to be able to give it to Derrick Henry, and it's just a very, very game script dependent that this Titans team is when they put up good performances. It's a very strict game plan. You're handing the ball to Derrick Henry. You're running really effective play action. You're limiting your other team to field goals. And that's just not something that happened from the start. And when you toss that game plan out the window, this Titans team just does not have many answers.
See, the weird thing with this game, though, is that if you just want to look at the stats, if you're one of those people that are not able to watch the game, you look at the stats, and it looks like the Titans should have at least had a little bit of closer. I mean, passing yards, really similar. Rushing yards, really similar. And then even two good wide receivers on either team. But the biggest stat discrepancy that you want to look at here is time of possession. The Bengals had 15 more minutes of time of possession, and that clearly showed. I mean, 15 minutes, if you have a whole more than a quarter on a different team, especially like you're saying, a battered down defense as well, that's not going to bode well. Shout out to the Bengals for able to just do that so effectively.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the stats after the game with no teams on there, and you said one team's going to have 15 minutes more time of possession, you would automatically think,
Yes.
oh, the Titans, they're grounded pounding all the time, but the Bengals with no Joe Mixon, Gio Bernard is their lead back.
And
And they
Gio
have 15
Bernard the
minutes
last couple
more.
of weeks has really
He's
stepped
been
up.
playing well, but he's not a guy that you give the ball to 15, 20 times and run behind the tackles. So that's even more shocking that they were able to get that big of a discrepancy. But, the Bengals played well. I think they got to be very, very excited for the
That
future.
AFC North, man, that's just a damn good division for football. But real quick, everyone listening to this, Alex, just take a second, gather yourself. We're in 2020 right now. And going to this next game, we are going to time travel all 50 years back to the year 1970. Hell, might even make it 60 years, all the way back to 1960, because that's exactly what this Raiders and Browns game was. What do we see?
Gosh.
We saw some running the football. We saw defense. We saw offenses that didn't know what the hell they were doing. And if we go back to 1960 at least, this is going to be one hell of a game. But if you were in 2020, this was an absolute snooze fest that just sucked. Both teams just
here's
awful.
one thing that you're missing from that description there is just really, really bad quarterback play. I
It
mean,
was so bad.
both these quarterbacks just look bad. And
Baker,
I will
12 for
say-
25, 122 yards.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that, that's like Cam Newton numbers right there. But I will say this.
That's a good game for Cam Newton. No interceptions.
The weather in Cleveland that day was very, very bad. I mean, if you saw it pregame, the kickers, the Browns the Browns and the Raiders kicker were kind of hanging out with each other, like, hey, watch this. You'd start it right of the upright, and it would curve all the way across the face.
We saw that in the middle of the game.
We saw it in the middle of the game. It's crazy. So
it was it was probably like 5 yards from actually going through, and then literally just straight to the left.
Yeah, no, it was a really tough scene.
I feel bad for the kickers, bro.
Everyone talks about it, that the hardest element to play in is wind, and Baker and Derek Carr are not necessarily known as guys with rocket arms, and that's what you need to cut through wind like that, and that's definitely what they can't do. So this is I think we've already spent way too much time on this game because it seemed like it should have been over in 20 minutes, but. I don't think you can get much out of this game from either team. They just kind of got to chalk it up as good win for the Raiders, move along, and let's just put that game behind us for everyone's sake.
Right. Let's move from a game where we saw 22 total points to a game where we saw 62 total points right here. Colts and Lions. It was actually a really exciting game, but the crazy thing was, look what the Colts did. The Colts were able to put up so many points because this is what happens when you don't settle for field goals. 6 touchdowns for the Colts, no field goals. I mean, it would have been fine because Rodrigo Blankenship has been lights out when it comes to field goals, but he did miss a PAT. Really weird to see from him. Happens to the best of us. So he's still the best kicker in the league right now. Who the hell would he? Okay, good for Hot Rod, man.
All you need is some rec specs.
Dude,
George rocks those things.
I'm sure Georgia missed. He looks fantastic. Philip Rivers, though. He actually looked pretty good. No interceptions, 3 touchdowns, like a little over 250 yards. And he was backed up by great performances by Nyheim Hines, too. And then it was a bad week to be fantasy owner for Jonathan Taylor because he didn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, this was a really good game for Philip Rivers. I mean, he's had 3 touchdowns in back-to-back games,
And
and he's
the
had over
biggest thing was
six.
not just the whole 3 touchdowns, but 0 interceptions.
Yeah, that was the big thing. I mean, if Philip Rivers isn't turning the ball over and he doesn't, need to do much in the game, that's what bodes the most success for this Colts team. And I think the least shocking outcome of this game is T.Y. Hilton got hurt again. It's just kind of a broken record with that guy. And
He
still, I mean,
belongs on the Niners.
I said it a couple. That's a low blow, by the way. We'll address that later. But I referenced it a couple weeks ago. But when Philip Rivers is, when he's clicking with his number one wide receiver, he did it with Keenan Allen. He did it with Keenan McCardell when he was there. But and he did it with Vincent Jackson when he was there with the Chargers. But he just never was able to get on the same page with T.Y. Hilton. And when Paris Campbell went down week 1, and T.Y. Hilton was supposedly your number one option, and he just never seemed like he was on the same page, was not connecting on routes. T.Y. was putting up horrible stats. Philip Rivers was just dumping it off to the tight ends and the running backs. And, that seems like it's working, but this is not a team I think that can put up points like this on a good defense, which is definitely not what the Lions are right now. But
Nope.
they need it. They need a deep threat. They need a possession receiver, and they cannot just keep relying on dump offs to the running back and Malali Cox going down the middle. So, also on the defensive side, Darius Leonard is a stud. When he plays, the Colts defense is good. I mean, it's almost like when Sean Lee was in and out of the lineup all the time 3-4 years ago with the Cowboys. When he played, the defense was good. When he didn't play, the defense was bad. And
See, now he's just in and out of the lineup, and that defense is always bad.
Well, I mean, let's not talk about that. But
well, I mean, we're gonna have to in the second year.
I'm regretting it. I'm ruining that time.
I just continually feel bad for Matt Stafford. Now, first, he plays a great game on Sunday. Almost 350 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did have 1 interception, but it was just kind of a meh play. Wasn't the worst. And now he gets COVID. Oh,
really tough.
Dude, just get away from everything that Detroit touches. Dies. Get Matt Stafford out. Please.
I am shocked that he stayed with this franchise this whole time. I mean, he's been cashing paychecks and climbing NFL passing leaderboards this whole time.
It's all water.
Yeah,
we all know that.
From Michigan.
It's something else right there. Although if you're a Lions fan, one positive thing is that those gray uniforms are still some of the better ones in the league.
Those are sleek.
And that blue, that kind of blue just goes perfectly, man. They really did a good job with that. But, of course, that's not going to win you football games. The next game might have been... there is no might. This was easily the biggest surprise, the biggest upset of this week of football action. Vikings in Lambeau. I'll be a no fan. Still a hard place to play in, though. Vikings win 28-22 on the back of Dalvin Cook scoring 4 touchdowns. He did it all. I mean, 30 carries, 160 yards, 3 touchdowns on the ground, 2 catches, another 60 yards through the air, and a touchdown. And he was mad. He was playing mad.
He dominated that football game. It looked like all the defense was playing in slow motion trying to tackle that. I mean, that screen pass that he took, he just kind of slowly prodded his way through the middle of the field. Oh, not going to tackle me there. Wait for my blockers. And then all of a sudden he turns a corner, breaks 1 tackle, and he's just gone. But, the weird thing is, this Vikings team, when Dalvin kind of is in and out of the lineup and you just, you look away and then you look back and you see a Vikings running back running, I never know who it is because Mike Boone, Alexander Madison, and Dalvin Cook look identical on the field, and I'm always just waiting. To see what the number is. I'm like, oh my gosh! And they all run the same way too. They're really kind of nasty runners. And
hey, thanks for bringing Madison though, because shout out to Madison. He's been playing well in Dalvin Cook's absence, and that's a Boise State dude right there, baby.
The Broncos.
Repping the Broncos, baby. Love it. The Packers might have to be worried, though. I mean, 3 touchdown game for Rodgers. The thing is, though, is both these teams. It was still obvious that both these teams' defenses suck. I mean, the first 4 possessions, both teams scored 2 touchdowns. Like nearly 28 straight points with with no stops.
Here's what I don't get though. I mean, you're the Green Bay Packers. You went 13-3 last year and get blown out in the NFC Championship game. And how did you get blown out? You got gashed by Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
And in this game, you got gashed by Dalvin Cook. And they have yet in the offseason and at the trade deadline have yet to trade for a middle linebacker that can make tackles. Once Blake Martinez left and you saw 150 tackles every year walk out the door, you need to replace that. Christian Kirksey is not going to get the job done. I mean, clearly Quan Alexander was on the market, who was a top 10 linebacker last year and 2 years ago. Why are you not trading for Quan Alexander? I mean, you got to think that the Packers need to address that position, and they just have neglected to do so for some reason that I don't know.
They skipped a deep throw too. Could have gone Will Fuller. That obviously did not work out. But you're the Packers because why? Why would you get more help from Rodgers? Why would you build a defense when you could just trade up for his replacement in a number of years?
Well, that's just logical.
Oh, so they're just so stupid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Doesn't make any sense. But maybe in this offseason, once they get blown out by probably the Seahawks this year in the playoffs.
It's hard because I know a few of our listeners, man. A few of our listeners are Packers fans, especially you, Logan. I am very sorry. I'm sure you're just having a hernia trying to watch this team actually build something, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then speaking,
they still have Aaron Rodgers.
That's all that matters. But and Aaron Jones at least. But if we want to say sorry, shout out to the Jets for being a bye week for every single team that plays them. Because the Chiefs.
This is a get right game every single time you play the Jets.
Even if you're the Chiefs and you're already right, you get more right because it's 35-9, something super easy. You know, Patrick Mahomes, just 5 touchdowns. Okay, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, this was. I think this was really the first time that we've seen this Chiefs offense and Mahomes really open up the passing game and develop some routes downfield. It looked like at the end of it, they were just like, okay,
practicing.
We need to get, it was literally, looked like it was 7-on-7 out there. And they were just seeing, okay, how many times can we throw the ball deep to Tyreek Hill or Mecole or put Kelsey down the middle? And Mahomes had not been putting up Mahomes-like numbers this year. No. And it seemed like this was a week where they were determined to get him some, I mean, not like he needs confidence, but you almost just need those mental reps and those, seeing the points go on the board and seeing those throws get completed just gives you confidence when you actually go up against NFL teams. So it's, job accomplished on the Chiefs' part. They ran the score up. They covered, and that it looked like they were determined to do that at the end. I mean, they did not need to fake punt it there in the second half, but it seemed. Again, like you said, it was practice.
Right? That was just messed up, man. That was a low blow. I mean, the obvious storylines from this: Patrick Mahomes, he's good at football. Sam Darnold and the Jets, they're not good at football. I think the only thing we could really focus on in a takeaway is that Le'Veon Bell. I mean, it's only his second week with the team, but he was the third rusher, 6 carries for 7 yards. Is that something to be concerned about? Is this something that we should kind of be highlighting right here, or is it kind of a non-factor at this point?
Here's the thing: is I don't think that Le'Veon needed to come in and put up gaudy numbers. He didn't need to come in and set the world on fire on the ground. I think he was brought in to be a really good third down back, provide really good blocking and out of the backfield and run some routes out of there. I don't think he needs to be a great rusher because that's really not his game anymore. I mean, when he was in Pittsburgh, he was a great rusher because he just had a ton of patience. That offensive line was incredible, and they got him out in the pass game so much that the defenses kind of had to play off of him just out of respect for that option routes out of the backfield. But now that he doesn't have, the Chiefs' offensive line is not a great run blocking offensive line. And I don't think this is Le'Veon's role where he needs to, run the ball 10, 15 times for a lot of yards. He just needs to star in his role, be a great third down back, be a great blocker, catch the ball out of the backfield, teach Clyde some things, and collect your Super Bowl and get out of there.
So to sum it up, he'll actually do something when they actually need him to do something.
I think that's fair, and I also don't think that this is the game that you need to judge Le'Veon Bell on. And I mean, what are you gonna do? Like, he had 6 carries for 7 yards. Like, he clearly didn't have that much of an impact on the game, and they didn't need him to make an impact. So
now, Alex, this week. Weren't you something about the LA Rams? Weren't you kind of like a fan of them at the beginning of the season?
I still am.
Uh huh. So how do
Also,
you feel
we
about?
hold on, hold on,
Oh,
hold on,
okay,
hold on,
okay,
hold on,
okay,
hold on, hold
okay.
on. We also forgot to reference, since I've given you a break and not come on the podcast for a
Mhm.
little bit.
Mhm.
The Titans and the Steelers played a football game a
Yes,
couple
let's
weeks
talk
ago,
about that real
and I
quick.
believe that I was on the Steelers because I
Mhm.
thought they were a much better team and thought the Titans defense was absolute frauds.
Yep.
And I believe that the Steelers won that game on the road, I believe.
And I
Um,
also believe that when that happened last week, is that I ate my words and I said that you were right.
but
So
I need a face to face acknowledgement here. Like I heard it,
give me a
but
sec. Give me
I
a
need to
sec.
see it.
It took a lot. It took a lot of me to do this last week. Oh, you're making me do it again. Alex, you were right.
Hey, and that'll make up for my Cowboys pick.
Okay, let's talk about the Rams. Another upset.
Oh my gosh.
With the Dolphins at home, just making the Rams look like a bad football team. I mean, look what happened. It wasn't really the offense that won this game for the Dolphins. It was defense and special teams. You start the game, 78-yard scoop and score, 88-yard punt return, 4 total turnovers, 2 punts, 2 interceptions. Yeah, I mean, you're on top. He had Tua throwing his first touchdown pass, so that was cool. It was actually a good pass to in the end zone, very tight window. It was an impressive throw, but the Rams just look bad. And watch out, the Dolphins. They're a playoff team right now.
I mean, they are, and so here's what I'll say on the front end. I myself, Alex Crop, backer of the Rams, and still think the Rams are a good team, have a beef with the NFL schedulers. Why are you making this Rams team continue to travel to the East Coast? This is their fourth trip to the East Coast. Fourth trip. They play in the NFC West, not the NFC East. You have to make all those trips. And it's not even week 9 yet. They're halfway through the year and they've played a majority of their games on the East Coast. How do you do that? You can't subject a team like that, especially a team like that from LA. And I know it's similar climates down there in Florida, but at the end of the day, you kind of just got to chalk this up as a schedule defeat, and that's what I'm sticking to.
You know what? I respect that. If there is something, especially.
Complete deflection.
Yeah, man, you sure you're not going to politics? That was really good. But I mean, Goff, he had yards, but once again, bad TD to INTs. That's just normally his MO recently.
Yeah.
And the Raven, or sorry, the Rams do have the ability to turn this around in the instant. But at the same time, it's hard to have games like this, especially in a highly competitive NFC West division. So it'll be interesting to see how they can bounce back from this. But the Dolphins, they are a good football team.
Here's the thing about the Dolphins that I really like is it seems like after a year where everyone thought they were tanking last year, they were trading Minka Fitzpatrick, trading Laramie Tunsil, trading Kenny Stills. Their team is so cohesive, and the culture there looks like everyone loves to play football. And Tua being in there and Fitzpatrick being in there speaks to that more than ever because those two guys enjoy the game of football so much. And Christian Wilkins is the same way on the defensive line, but that defense was getting after Jared Goff today. I mean, big plays on defense and special teams. You had Jakeem Grant take that 88-yard punt return back.
Mm-hmm.
You had Jared Goff get clobbered in the red zone for a scoop and score there. Tua didn't have to do much. Great game for him to start his career. Did not need to do much. Got his touchdown pass out of the way. Was able to just hand the ball off, rely on that defense.
Didn't even get hurt by Aaron
Goff
Donald. That's a win.
No, I think it was just how they drew it up. I mean, give this kid a lead, let the defense play well. Don't ask him to do too much. Get him a win, get him some confidence, get the team rolling, and they beat a good team. The Rams are a good team, and they're going to be there at the end of the year. And I think this Dolphins team may have something to say in this AFC East.
And see, just before we get to the next game, I'm sure you know, Alex. I'm sure everyone that is listening to this show knows that I am a very humble individual, and that hardly ever brag when I am right. Never happens. Never happens. So
Neither do I.
On this very no, never. We're two very humble people, and so I would like to take this rare opportunity to say the words that I, as of right now, was right. Because before the season, I think before we even had you on the show, I was kind of just raving about the Dolphins and them rebuilding almost perfectly all these first round picks, all these all really building that defense, building a good offense right there, bringing Tua in. I really like what they were doing. Jalen could attest to this, our co-host on the other shows. And I was saying that before the season, like during the draft season, stuff like that, is that they're building a really good team here and that they were going to be playoff contenders. I was saying Super Bowl contenders within the next 5 years. They're already playoff contenders. And so, I think that deserves a little pat on the back. Good job, Ross.
I'll do
Go
it too.
you.
I got you on the pat on the back.
Oh, I appreciate
But
you.
and I also think that they're deep. The Dolphins got back Byron Jones this week, and when you can put Byron Jones and Xavier Howard out there on the outside, you can almost shut down two of those outside receivers every single weekend. Byron Jones is a legit number one corner. Xavier Howard is a legit number one corner.
That might be the best duo in the league.
Agreed. I mean, I think
so.
this secondary might be. How good are the AFC East secondaries? Obviously, besides the Jets, because you can't really include them in any list. But
they're not a team.
The Bills have a great secondary. The Patriots have a great secondary, and this Dolphins team has a great secondary.
I'm surprised they didn't trade Stephon Gilmore, but of course that is besides the point. And once again, Alex, next game, another really big divisional matchup that was really close. Steelers at Ravens, a big test game for the Steelers. Are they going to stay undefeated against a divisional foe, against a big-time rival, and against one of the best teams in the league? And the answer was yes, they did. I mean, the Steelers just win a huge matchup to stay at the top of the division, and they started off very strong using that might be the best defense in the league still. They got a pick six off of Lamar Jackson. They made Lamar Jackson look stagnant. 200 yards, 2 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. That's not good. The Steelers would do enough on offense. James Conner looking fine. And then Big Ben doing what Big Ben does, nothing crazy, but more just game management at this point. And the Steelers have a good team win over the Ravens.
The Steelers, I think, are, they're one of those teams where you look at them and they're very, very balanced, but they're balanced with elite talent. So it's almost like you don't have the defense dragging behind. You don't have the receivers dragging behind, the running backs dragging behind, the offensive line. Everyone does their part, and they have elite players at a lot of different positions. And this defense has not missed a beat after losing their signal caller, and I would think is their, a top 5 linebacker in the league in Devin Bush. But Lamar on offense right now, he's scaring me a little bit. You don't see those really dynamic runs like he used to. I don't know if it's still that knee injury that he had, going against Washington. But what really, really, really bothers me is the 2 picks that he threw. Two picks in a game is not a crazy number. It's not great, obviously, but they were awful picks. That first one that he had on that first drive, he threw it right to that backer. And it wasn't like he came out of nowhere. He was right in the middle of the field.
See him?
And here's the problem is these were your 2 opening drives of the first and the second half. And you throw a pick in both of them, put your defense in an awful spot. On the first one, it's a pick 6. The second one, you're giving the Steelers the ball in great position. It just doesn't look right now with Lamar, and almost looks like he's starting to let the media get to him a little bit. He can't throw the ball. He's making too many mistakes. They can't come from behind, and it's almost like I'm going to prove them. And he just does not have the juice right now to be able to put together big long drives right there passing the ball, and I'm worried about him.
It's been a while since I've seen the MVP Lamar Jackson. We've seen flashes this season. We've seen flashes, nothing consistent. The thing we see right now, we see rookie Lamar Jackson. And if we remember, that Lamar Jackson was not that good of a quarterback. He wasn't.
I mean, well, here's the thing though: is Lamar is still an incredible quarterback, an incredible talent, but we just have very high expectations of him now, and that's what's going to inherently come with an MVP season, and he's not living up to those expectations. The Baltimore Ravens, granted, great defense that they were playing in the Steelers. Divisional game, they only lost by 4 points. It was close the entire game, but Lamar was the reason that they lost this game with those 2 interceptions, and I don't know. And he had a fumble in the red zone too. I think he had 4 turnovers.
Some Daniel Jones stuff right there, man. Can't do that.
Man, not good.
Can't do that. But Alex, you know what time it is. I'm sure you knew this was coming all week long since the game happened. You see the smile on my face if you're watching this one on YouTube. You already know what's going on, especially some of my fans, some of my Broncos fans that listen to this show. You already know what is about to go down because we had the Chargers at the Broncos, and the Broncos come back down 24-3 halfway through the third quarter. You had 22 minutes to win the football game to put 21 points to tie. And they go and they shock the Chargers on the last play of the game. I mean, comeback starting 55-yard run by touchdown run by Philip Lindsay. He now leads the league in yards per carry at 6.4. Philip Lindsay is damn good, and for the price difference, and especially, I mean, we're talking. There was a big debate last year. You had one of the first picks in Saquon Barkley, a lot of the money, or you have Philip Lindsay, undrafted free agent, doing almost the same thing for a lot less money. Who had the
All
better
right,
value
hold
there?
on.
We're
hold
talking.
on.
We're not talking.
Hold
We're not
on.
talking talent. We're talking value. We're talking value. Philip Lindsay, not better than Saquon Barkley, but he might be the better value.
Not in the same ballpark as Saquon Barkley. This is, I mean, that's one of the wildest takes I've ever heard. That Philip Lindsay is
You're
a
welcome.
better value. I mean, give me a break, Ross. I know you're a fan of the Broncos here, but that's disrespectful to average running backs all over the place.
Okay. Hey, we'll see.
Oh
We'll
my
see in a
gosh.
few years. But let's get back to the game. I mean, what I like my biggest takeaway from this game is that Drew Lock maybe had the most important. He probably played the most important game of his career so far, being down huge like this, and then I mean, and then Philip Lindsay scores that touchdown, and then they're trying to come back. Then Drew Lock goes, he throws an interception. Then after it was a bad interception too, but after that he just goes, has some really accurate passing, 3 straight touchdowns, and leads the Broncos to a win. And the poise he showed after that turnover, especially the past few weeks, he's been struggling. There's been a lot of people, myself included, doubting him. Is he actually the quarterback of the future? And this game might have just silenced all those critics for at least a little bit longer.
I mean, come on, Ross. Are you listening to yourself right now?
I am.
Oh my gosh. This is okay. Here's the situation that happened on Sunday. When the Chargers got up by double digits, when they got up by 3 scores, you knew at some point they were going to blow it. It's not like Drew Lock showed this crazy poise. Oh, I'm going to come in. I'm going to dogfight against the Chargers. No, the Chargers gave this game up. Drew Lock was just there, kind of running the show. He didn't show poise. He made some bad plays in the third quarter. I still don't think he has what it takes to be a franchise quarterback, and I don't know. I still don't see it out of Drew Lock. It seems more like he's kind of a cowboy out there. He makes some ridiculous throws. He's way overconfident. Sometimes it works. Sometimes when you're down by 21 points and the defense is playing prevent, thinking that they already have the game wrapped up, it can make a quarterback look really, really good. And is that the case that happened, or did Drew Lock actually, find something here? I think it's the former, but
To you, what would it take to prove that Drew Lock is the guy?
I need to see him. I need to see him take care of the ball for a stretch of games. It just seems like he still does not value the ball, and this is what we're seeing all the time with young quarterbacks coming in. It seems more like they're just all kind of hucking and ducking. They're all playing that gunslinger role and thinking like, "Oh, I'm going to go out there."
System? Is that
I
due
really
to
think
air
it
raid
is.
offense?
I think it's just. At Missouri, he threw the ball a ton, and he was playing against really good defenses, and so that's really kind of the only way that he was able to move the ball in the SEC. And it's a similar situation here in the Broncos because he finds himself down a lot of the time. He looks great when he's not being put under the pressure to lead a drive and put together a very good sequence of plays. He's a lot better when he's improvising, when he's making big plays down the field, when he's got a really good running game. And I still just do not trust him as a franchise quarterback, that one that you can say, okay, we're going into this wild card game, and I need you to put together, 60% completions, throw for 240, throw a touchdown or two, no turnovers. That's not a game that I can see out of Drew Lock. And until he shows that long sustained ability to take care of the football, I still think he's got a lot of room to grow. But he did show flashes. He did show flashes on Sunday, but that's all it seems to be right now is just flashes of good play, and I just want to see him string it together.
That's fair. But at least positive if you're a Chargers fan. They have
sorry to pop your bubble there, Ross.
It's okay, Alex, because it gets popped every single day. I'm used to it at this point. I'm a Broncos fan. But let's talk about the Chargers. Positive side, you did become the first team in NFL history to do something with this game. The first team in NFL history to blow 4 games where they had the lead of 16 plus.
And that just strengthens my argument of
17.
The Chargers
17,
lose this game, 16, or did the Broncos come 21. Back and win it? So,
but
really,
to be
really
fair,
bad.
They have blown games to good teams like the Chiefs, like the Saints, like the Bucks, like the Broncos.
We're not.
No, the argument isn't there for that one. The argument is not there for that team, but that's besides the point. It was all I know is I had a lot of fun. That was Also, I was very stressed out. Thank you. I deserve one good thing in my life every once in a while, right? But too bad the Chargers made me.
Who knew that was gonna be Drew Lock?
Oh no. But at least I have to eat my words now because I said last week Chargers are a playoff team, or at least a contender. They're a playoff contender, and not they keep blowing leads like this. And that is not the case. And if we want to talk about playoff contenders, let's talk about this actually fairly entertaining overtime game. Saints at Bears. Saints taking this one 26-23, all on the foot of Big Nuts Lutz, kicking a go-ahead field goal in overtime. Real good stuff right there. The Saints, though, I think the whole vibe to this game is that they didn't win. They more or less just escaped. Drew Brees cannot perform anymore at his old levels, especially without Emmanuel Sanders and Michael Thomas. That really hurt them.
No, I mean, this Saints team is really just not shown up and put together a complete game in a while ever since that week 1 Bucks win. But you can't really judge this team until they get can't guard Mike back, until they get Manny Fresh back.
Fresh.
They're playing with half a deck of cards here, so there's not really much you can say about this. I think this Bears team they were who they thought we were. They were not a 5-1 team. They just weren't. The Saints team, I'm not really impressed by them. We'll see what happens when they get their 2 weapons back, but they rely way too much on Alvin Kamara. Drew Brees still does not have the ability to push the ball down the field. So I still think this is a very, very early exit playoff team. And until they get those weapons back and show that they have the ability to push the ball down the field with regular consistency, I think that's where they're going to be stuck.
See, the problem with you saying that, it's a good description that they are probably an early exit playoff team. But the hard thing with that is even when they have been a lot better in the past, they've still been a really early playoff exit team. So I don't know if that takes really saying much there, Alex. Don't know.
But still, it's like, they're a 5-2 team, and everyone always slates them to be they're always the sexy NFC pick for the championship, but I just don't think they're that good. They're just not that good.
It's weird. They play good enough to win, but that they don't seem like a contender. It's that weird kind of gray area. Like you said,
the good thing is we're gonna find out a lot about this team Sunday night against the Bucks rematch. The Bucks should kill this team the way they're playing right now.
The Saints
and
win,
it's a revenge game. The Saints win. I will take the Saints seriously if they win, but that's a big if.
Huge if. And Alex, let's bring the mood down for you a little bit. Let's talk about the Niners at the Seahawks. Seahawks, of course, taking this one 37-27, even though it should not have been that close. They were killing them up until the fourth quarter, and the Niners put some points on the board, because it's not a Seahawks game unless they give their fans heart attacks. But the story of the game, what's new? Wilson and Metcalf are really good at football. Wilson, another 4 touchdowns. Metcalf, if you want to take away his 2 touchdowns on its own, 12 catches, 160 yards off the 12 catches.
His run after the catch ability is unrivaled right now in the NFL. You probably saw the 2 best run after catch guys in Kittle and Metcalf in this game, but DK he does something different every week that it just blows me away how he's been able to improve so much from where he was as an early rookie. because he developed a lot in his rookie year, and he's been so much better this year with the ability to, take curl routes, 60 yards for a touchdown, continually beat guys down the middle, beat guys on the outside, over the top. Doesn't matter if he's single coverage, press coverage, double coverage, playing off coverage. He is unstoppable right now. And that combo of Wilson and Metcalf is I could not imagine being a defensive coordinator right now trying to scheme up something for them.
It's gross.
And when they get Chris Carson back and, we're not even mentioning Tyler Lockett, who's almost leading the league in touchdowns this year. It's ridiculous what a wealth of weapons Russell has. And,
This offense is so
maybe
good.
at this point he just doesn't need a defense. I mean, let's just see what happens when we can just run the score up on these guys. And, we don't need to spend much time on the Niners. They're riddled with injuries. There's not much more you can say.
I hate to say it, but I really want a
Kyle
Super Bowl.
Shanahan.
I think, Alex, I think I made up my mind. I want a Chiefs-Seahawks Super Bowl.
Wow, you're really going out on a limb there with the two best teams in the divisions.
I think that's what I want, though. I think that's what that's the.
I think that would be the most fun for sure. That would be so much fun. I mean, probably the two best quarterbacks in the league by far,
Yes.
and I would say probably the two best offenses in the league by far as well.
That'd be
So
fun.
that seems like it's something I could.
Are we going to get that?
I could sleep well at night knowing that was a Super Bowl.
See, are we going to get that, though? Because I don't think so, because we're NFL fans and we're sports fans, and we never deserve anything good like that. And also, if you're a Niners fan, you really don't deserve anything good because, hey, more injury problems. Jimmy G left the game, another ankle injury, and he's might have season-ending surgery on this one, and we'll expand a little bit more on this idea a little later. And then also Kill out 8 weeks with a broken foot, and that just looks amazing for my fantasy football team.
This is Jimmy G cannot dodge a bullet. This is a year from hell for this guy. He's been in and out of the lineup. His ankle has been battered this
So
year,
bad.
and Kittle can't catch a break either. This whole Niners team can't catch a break. It sucks, being a Niners fan. But what we can say is they're still competitive. Nick Mullins still
He's
looks
not
like
bad.
he's a
Nick Mullins is not bad.
no. I mean, we weren't saying this 4 weeks ago when he put up an absolute dud against the Dolphins, but he's fine. I don't think this Niners team's going to go anywhere. But
Alex,
Kyle Shanahan's
more
the best
breaking
coach in the
news.
NFL.
More breaking news. Kyle Shanahan has a good offense.
I think he's the best coach in the NFL.
You know what? It'd be hard to argue against that right now. You want to know who's not the best head coach in the NFL? Mike McCarthy.
Wow,
Cowboys
what
and
a
the
segue.
Eagles. I'm getting good at that. What can I say? 23-9, the Eagles take this divisional matchup. Big time, or pretty decent rivalry right here. It's hard to
The
call
Nooch.
it's hard to call any NFC rivalry, even if it is one, a rivalry, because it's just awful football. And the Cowboys they're just bad.
It's really not good.
There's no way around it. There's nothing to break down. There's nothing to analyze. They're just a bad all-around football team, especially with Dak not playing.
I mean, they're going to start 4 quarterbacks within halfway through the year when they're
Was
going
it
to start
Chase Cooper, their practice squad quarterback? They're heavily thinking about playing.
Cooper Rush
Sorry,
or
Cooper
Graham
Rush.
Gilbert.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's 2 guys. Cooper Rush. In memory of the starting of Maction tonight, Cooper Rush, the Central Michigan Chippewa, also the same. I think Antonio Brown went to Central Michigan as well.
He did.
And Joe Staley. There's a lot of good players coming from Central Michigan.
Not bad. Great field right there. Looks good.
Yeah, it's not much to talk about this game.
No.
Eagles they took a commanding lead of the NFC East at 3-4-1. But here's the really, really important part of this game and a part of this team. And here's what I'm going to lay on the listeners right now. I want everyone to get a pen down, make sure that you digest what I'm about to say here. This has been Jerry Jones's plan from the beginning. When they fired Jason Garrett at the beginning or at last year, he had one guy in mind that they wanted to get as a coach. Who was that guy? Lincoln Riley. Who were they not able to get? Lincoln Riley. Who had an incredible offense last year And every single year prior to that, Lincoln Riley, this is the guy that they want to run this team. And I think Jerry Jones might be a genius. If he's thinking the way I'm thinking, if we're on the same wavelength here, Jerry Jones needed at least a year for Mike McCarthy to show that he's just not the guy. They needed a stopgap. They needed that guy. I mean, you talk about a stopgap. I mean, Mike McCarthy can plug up a hole. I'll tell you that much. He's kind of built like a cork. But Lincoln Riley needed a year to realize that the Oklahoma, stable of quarterbacks was just not a never-ending cycle. I mean, he went through three, or two or three Heisman winners in the last couple of years, and he's not having a great year this year. Spencer Rattler doesn't look like the guy that's going to be able to get the job done going forward. So was Jerry Jones a genius in being able to wait a year for Lincoln Riley to get out of Bedlam, waiting for the Cowboys to blow a year, maybe make Dak's contract a little cheaper, get a really, really good draft pick in 2021, and then come back with Dak has a new contract, Zeke's a new contract, Amari, CeeDee, Gallup, solidified. The offensive line gets healthy again. Their defense comes back healthy, and they have a new, good-looking head coach in Lincoln Riley, and they're going to be able to take over in 2021 and fulfill the expectations that I put on him this year. Here's the thing. I wasn't wrong. I was just a year late.
I think we can name this the Alex prophecy. How's that one? You want to call it your prophecy?
It's something I put a lot of confidence in. This is, I've been up long nights thinking about Jerry Jones's plan.
Hey, Alex, I'm gonna come home for Christmas, bro. I'm gonna walk into your room. I'm just gonna see just sticky notes, newspapers everywhere, that red string and the thumbtacks just all along your walls, and I'm just straight.
It's a scene right now,
dude. Alex, you doomed our viewers. You told them to get pen and paper. You forgot to tell them to get their tinfoil hats. Damn it!
I know, but
I'm sorry, viewers. I'm so sorry.
Everyone's gonna look like an idiot when this happens, and all of a sudden they're looking at this podcast, and they have to go back and look at it. I was like, oh my, he was right on every single point of how this broke down.
Yeah, that's just what happens when you're on the show. There's just something about you that makes you just so right. Right. Then also just real quick, I'll get my point in. Carson Wentz is a bust, and it's time to move on to Jalen Hurts.
Wow, throw that in there. Sprinkle it in.
That's just a little icing on the cake right there. Last game of the week was actually a lot better than anticipated Monday night game, with the Bucs actually being pushed to their brink against the New York Giants. I mean, decent game on for both quarterbacks. We got what we expected out of Daniel Jones: 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. That's kind of his forte. Brady, couple touchdowns. Him and Gronk break Jerry Rice and Joe Montana's record for most touchdowns between the quarterback and the receiver. So that's history. Are we really surprised about that? Not really, because they were in their prime. They were very good. But I mean, another game that came to the last play, another game that ended on the last play of the game. The Giants failed to convert that 2-point conversion that would have tied the game. And the question here, Alex, is, was that pass interference?
Here, I think this is a 2-part answer. A, yes, it was pass interference. B, did they make the right decision in not calling it pass interference and no one had to be subjected to an overtime session involving the New York Football Giants? The answer is yes to that one as well. This Giants team is still not good, but weird things happen in the Meadowlands on primetime games. I just always feel like, the Eagles game, Daniel Jones gets snipered out of nowhere. And I know that was in Philadelphia, but when you put the Giants on primetime, something weird's going to happen. I mean, you had Black Cats running around last year.
Hey, we already told you, like
Daniel
2 months
Jones.
ago, I think, Alex. I came out with the statement that MetLife Stadium is haunted. That was even after Daniel Jones, or after Sam Darnold saw ghosts in MetLife. It's definitely haunted. Definitely haunted.
It's a weird place, and when you put it under the lights on Monday or Thursday or Sunday night, weird things happen. And I'm really I think the Bucs got to be thankful to get out of there with a win.
It's only the day after Halloween.
Don't ever think about this. No, it's a weird scene going on.
It was, honestly, I mean, that just capped off a really like I say, really, really good week 8 of football. I
Really good week 8. Really good week
it
8.
was a lot of fun. But Alex, I've been alluding to some points, whether it be Cam Newton, whether it be Jimmy G, whether it be some bad losses, whether it be Mike McCarthy. It's time for our buy or sell segment. This is always a fun one right here. Of course, if you're listening, you know how this works. But if you're a new viewer, love you. Thanks for joining us. Check us out, www.thefourthlong.com. And this is just a thing we do every week now with our NFL breakdowns. We give you 5 statements, and you have the choice of whether to buy it or whether to sell it. First statement of the episode is going to be Cam Newton is to blame for the Patriots' lack of success this season.
So I would buy this statement like if it was on sale, like half off.
Half off.
I'm a little lukewarm on the buy, but I don't think you're wrong in this. I mean, Cam Newton hasn't played well. We gave you the stats earlier. He hasn't thrown a touchdown in the last 3 weeks. But I mean, is it Cam or is it COVID Cam? Is it the COVID Patriots? It just seems like they've just been hammered by it, and it's almost like COVID versus Bill Belichick, and COVID's trying to flex their muscles right now, trying to take out the big bad Belichick. So, is it Cam Newton's fault for being bad? Yes. Is it all directly because he's not playing well? I don't think so. So, I'll buy this if it's on discount, but I think the Patriots are bad for a variety of reasons. Cam being the main one, but a lot of other reasons.
You can. I'll spot you the coupon. Don't worry, free of charge. And
Good.
I'm going to buy this statement, just because. My whole thing is you get what you pay for. If you want to give a quarterback $1 million to be the face of your franchise, this is what you get for paying a quarterback $1 million to be the face of your franchise. You get something.
Seems like you're a big value guy, Ross. So I don't know. Is Cam at $1 million a better value than Russell Wilson at $40 million?
Alex, the thing is, man, what can I say? I'm a businessman. Okay, life is a business. Football is a business. Everything has a value. Okay, there's a price to everything, and everything comes down. You got to break it down to its value. There's a value.
I love the way your mind works.
Yeah, it's not good when it comes to morals. My ethics business class is very entertaining. When I ask how much a person is worth, that's a whole different discussion.
Oh, that's heavy.
Oh, yeah, that's very heavy. But this is a sports show, not a philosophy show. Also, new podcast coming out, Ross's Philosophy, trying to break down my head. That's going to be like a 100 episode kind of thing, just to really go into things. But
I love that. Can I be part of that, please?
You can be the guy leading it. I feel like...
Hey, take it.
But Cam Newton, he is to blame. They could have won this game if he decides to not fumble again. At least the I guess the thing with that fumble is that what kind of saved face is that the Bills jumped on it too quick in order for Cam to have a chance to back away from it. So that's the one good thing that came from there. I'm buying this. You're buying this. Next statement is that the Packers had the worst loss in Week 8. Others would be teams like the Titans or Ravens. Buy or sell?
I buy this statement. I think the Titans had a pretty bad loss too, but I think that the Packers definitely lost to the worst team out of that out of them and the Bengals. So yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't great to be at home and do this. At least the Titans were on the road, but they just didn't look like they cared enough about this game almost. I mean, to get beat through the air for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, to a bunch of big plays is one thing, but when you're getting bullied like that with 30 carries and 32 touches for Dalvin Cook and just gashing your defense, it's almost like they just didn't put the effort for it. And I don't know, you got to be a little bit concerned at the way you lost, not just how they lost.
And now I really do want to agree with you on this one, Alex, but just for some reasons I'll explain in a second, I'm going to sell this statement. On one hand, in terms of the actual scoreboard and the look of it and how they lost, the Packers, you can say, had the worst loss. But I would say that the team that had the worst loss is the Ravens, and not just because of how not in the way they lost, but the implications of them losing. They're now 2 games back in that division. Steelers up at 7-0. Ravens dropped to 5-2. And the Ravens kind of needed a win right here, too. I mean, they look competitive, but also they just didn't look great that game. And I really am worried that this might spell disaster in terms of trying to win this division later on in the season. I think if the Ravens don't win the division, and of course that's a big if right now. We still have plenty of season to go. But if they don't, you're going to look back at this game, and this may very well be the catalyst, which is why I'm going to ultimately sell this statement.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point there. The Ravens coming into this year had to have had the expectations to get that number 1 seed and get that bye.
Like the odds were they were going 14-2.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good right now. I think that they need to get a win against a really good team to feel good about their chances in the playoffs, and that hasn't happened yet. And so until that happens, I think you make a good point. This is a tough look for the Ravens, and I think they definitely got to look in the mirror and see what they need to improve.
All right, here we go, resident Niner fan. Next statement. Jimmy Garoppolo has played his last game with the San Francisco 49ers.
I love this take. I mean, you talk about value. I mean, there's probably a lot better values than Jimmy G out there. But, I mean, I'm going to sell it just because I think you're wrong. Because I don't think they're going to draft a guy in the upcoming season.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that there's a free agent that's going to present itself to warrant just getting rid of Jimmy G altogether. So I think he's probably going to come back, and he's at least going to get a shot to start the 2021 season. He's definitely played his last game with the Niners this year, I think. I see no reason why they should bring him back at all, especially if they're not, where they want to be after week 12, week 13. But I think I'm going to sell this statement.
Hey, Alex, can I drop something on you?
No.
Just real quick. Actually,
yeah.
I just kind of came to me. I was just putting two and two together in my head. Yeah. I'm going to buy this statement for the following reason. For the following reason. We talked Kyle Shanahan, former guy on the Falcons, okay, has experience with this offense. The Falcons are going to be emptying that team, okay? Say with me, the Falcons are going to be selling that team and rebuilding. You want to know who they're going to trade to the San Francisco 49ers? Matty Ice. He is going to be the next quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers.
I love this take. I've always been a Matt Ryan fan. I think he's perfect for that team.
You like that?
Gosh, I love that. Oh, I would love to buy this statement now. I mean,
big brain Frost, 200 IQ.
Could you imagine if it was a package deal and they brought in Julio too? Oh my gosh. That's the most fun outcome in the 2021 offseason right now.
I mean, screw Julio. He can go a different team. The real package, if you want to get for that would fit the San Francisco 49ers most, I think, would be Matt Ryan and Calvin Ridley.
Oh, I mean, Calvin was significantally more expensive, so I think we're shooting for stars there. But
that's fair.
Julio just
Matt Ryan to
value
Jimmy
guy
Garoppolo.
over here.
Oh my god!
I really love that.
You like that?
That'd be incredible. Oh, you got me fired up.
Hey,
I don't want to talk about this next topic.
ESPN, hire me because I got all the takes. I haven't seen. You guys could look. This take is not anywhere on the ESPN website, the CBS website, and Fox website. It's nowhere. It's all me. Okay.
It's on this podcast.
I got to write an article on this to beat the wave. Whew.
I agree.
I'm just on fire. Next statement though, Alex. Let's get past this. Oh man, I'm feeling really good about that. But Mike McCarthy will not make it past week 10 of the NFL season.
This is the same vein as your last comment.
I know.
I'm gonna sell the comment because it's just a ridiculous statement. But I don't think he probably gets fired. I mean, if my prophecy is to come true, he's gonna be fired at the end of the year, so Lincoln Riley can take over. Not week 10. That's ridiculous. But I like where your head's at. I really do.
In terms of what they should do, the Cowboys should fire Mike McCarthy. Not wait until week 10. Fire him now. Fire him last week. Fire him 2 weeks ago. He just needs to be gone. Yeah. But at the same time,
he's not good.
They waited till the end of the season to fire Mr. Clapper, a guy that just wasn't good. So I see no reason of why they won't wait till the end of the season to fire Mike McCarthy. That's why I'm also going to sell it. Don't want to see the Cowboys turn into the Oakland or the previously Oakland Raiders. Because I could say Oakland without having swear jar because Oakland was the one that was firing all their coaches after just a season. Las Vegas is different. Okay,
Yep.
don't
Different culture.
thank you. I mean, Oakland and Vegas is just a classier Oakland in a way, but that's arguing. And here,
Yeah.
last one, Alex. It's time for the Chargers to tank.
I mean, here's the thing. There's only a couple. I'm going to sell that statement first
Okay.
off.
Okay.
There's only really one reason you tank in the NFL, and that's to get a quarterback. There's no other reason to tank. There's really, I mean, unless there's like an offensive tackle that's the next coming of, I mean, I don't even know. There's not really the next coming of Quentin Nelson as a left tackle, something like that. But there's no reason to tank unless you're going for a quarterback. That's not something the Chargers need. They've been very, very close.
Were you saying that Justin Herbert's a quarterback in the future? Shocker.
Oh, 100%.
He's so good.
He's incredible. I mean, he's significantly better than Drew Lock, and he's younger than Drew Lock. So
Yeah, he is.
if we want to make this personal, but
He is.
I'm
I'm
no,
not going to deny that, man.
it's not the time for the Chargers to tank because I think that this team needs confidence. They need to put together some wins, especially with a young quarterback. They're going to keep trying to win games, and if they make the playoffs, great. If they don't, they have something to build on because they were so close in these games, and they're due for some positive regression next year.
See, I like your point. My biggest thing is that I would sell this because, to your point, you mentioned it. You don't want to you spend a fourth round pick on a guy like Justin Herbert, a guy that's clearly going to be, at least as of now, who knows? Things might change weekly because it's NFL. But as of now, he looks like he's going to be the face of that franchise for years to come. You don't want just expose him to a losing environment. That's never good, whether it be for the confidence or whether it just be for the long term health. And so you try to win games. Now, if the Chargers, you're really good in not winning games, it's like you're purposely trying to tank, but that's besides the point. And so you keep trying to win. If you don't win, that's not that big of a deal because you're probably not playing for much this year anyway, and you'll end up with better draft value. But you still try to win. You know what I'm saying there?
Agreed. And I think that's kind of what their plan should be. They don't need to go out there and lose games because it doesn't really get them anything. So what if they go from, what could be the 10th pick to the 15th pick? I mean, you're still getting a pretty similar value there. So
at that point, you're not missing. Yeah, you're not missing out on too much there. But that's going to do for our buy or sell segment. We had Alex. The real to sum it up, what we talked about this week is Matt Ryan to the San Francisco 49ers is confirmed.
Gosh, please make that happen.
It's
I love that.
Confirmed.
I love that.
Hey, John Lynch. I know me and Blake, our UFC correspondent, our UFC shows, we should check out really good stuff right there. We talk about all the time adding Sean Shelby, the guy the matchmaker for the UFC. We'd make some really good stuff. John Lynch, hey man, just let me intern for like a week. Let me just I don't want to take over. I'll just
float this idea by.
Hey, Johnny boy, Matt Ryan. That's all.
You just gotta say those two words.
Exactly, and then that's all we need. But it's time to end this show real quick with our power rankings, of course. Week 8, as you might have remembered, from 5 to 1, I had the Seahawks, the Ravens, the Bucks, the Chiefs, and the Steelers. So this week might be a little anticlimactic, but that's besides the point because number 5, I have the Baltimore Ravens. And while though they're a borderline 6 team, they were almost out because especially with this loss, but I took into effect that they lost to at least week 8's number 1 team. They lost to the best team in the league in a close game. Okay, a loss is going to bump them down a spot, but I don't think a close loss to the best team in the league is going to kick you out necessarily. That's why I'm okay with them still being 5, but also the teams besides them that are on the border, I just don't think that those teams are better than the Ravens, at least not yet.
Yep, and I think that, the Ravens have lost 2 games this year to the best team in the league and the second best team in the league.
Right.
So it's it's concerning for them for a deep playoff run, but I don't think it's concerning for them in a regular season format in a
Nope.
situation like that. Because I mean, they weren't that close in the Chiefs game, but they were in that Steelers game. They probably should have won that game if it weren't for timely interceptions. Uh, for a touchdown, or B, in a really, really dangerous offensive scoring position like they were in the red zone, and then Lamar fumbled. So, not horrible losses because they're those good of teams, but
Losses.
definitely,
It's still a
yeah.
loss too. But
Yeah, but it warrants a down move, but still, it's the
I
two best
don't.
teams in the league.
I'm gonna boot them down, but I'm not going to lose my love for them. They're still a
Agreed.
great team. Moving on
Yeah.
to number 4, though, we did a little swap this week. The Seahawks going back up to number 4. They had a solid win against the Niners, although it was a better team. Their offense is still just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to not have an offense that good. Your defense could be even worse than the Seahawks, and I still probably have them up here at number 4 because they're just that damn good.
Yeah, I mean the Seahawks their offense is filthy. Their defense it still doesn't have Jamal Adams at 100%. So once they get that playmaker back too, it'll be even better. But yeah, that offense is just ridiculous, and you don't need much more to beat mediocre teams, to average teams in the NFL, other than a really good offense. So the big test will obviously be when they have to play the class of the NFC, but they've looked great so far, and they're probably going to continue looking great as long as Russ and DK Metcalf are there.
And now, for the most exciting part of the entire show, Matty Ice Take was nothing compared to this. The next 3 teams in order are the same ones we had last week in week 8. 3-2-1 Bucks, Chiefs, Steelers. No moving there. There's no need. They all won. And I mean,
Yep.
the Steelers and Chiefs especially, you could make the argument that the Chiefs could have passed the Steelers given what they did this week. The argument's there, but at the same time, Steelers have a really good defense. They beat a great Ravens team that had a close game against the Chiefs, and the Chiefs beat up on a practice squad team. Okay, it's like they beat up the little kind of the play. You know that kid on the playground back in elementary school that was just kind of the one that got picked on. That's
The
exactly
little guy.
yeah. Not even the little guy, the little guy with that liked to drool on himself. That's exactly what the Chiefs did
Jeez.
this week.
That's really disrespectful to guys that like to drool on themselves. But yeah, I mean, the Steelers, I think, and as long as they remain the last undefeated team, they're going to be the number 1 team in the league. I think that's just the respect you got to give them. Chiefs looked a lot better than the Bucks did, and the Bucks have 2 losses, so no qualms with me here.
If the Chiefs, I think that's like the first time that you've actually agreed with my power rankings like all season.
I honestly, there's not much debate there. The Bucks
No.
look really good. The Chiefs look really good. The Steelers look really good. Maybe you flip the Bucks and the Seahawks, but
Maybe.
it's not something I'm gonna really fight you on,
Yeah,
especially with the
need to
way
see
that
matchup,
it happened
man.
this year.
Need to see that matchup. But I mean, if we want to add a little more excitement, then on the cusp, the teams that I had debating between them or the Ravens, I have the Packers, the Saints, and the Bills right outside the top 5. To me, those could be 6A, B, and C. They're all like kind of really close there. I think maybe the Bills the worst. The Bills or Saints the worst of them. Right now the Bills. Right now the Bills are the worst of the 3. If we had to rank those 3, I'm doing
But that's
Packers.
the thing. The Packers just lost to the Vikings, so
But-
you have to throw the Packers lost out of this group, and we're thinking about the Bills and the Saints as the worst teams, which I think you're right on.
Mhm.
But isn't that just weird to think
It's
of that
super interesting.
the team that was 6A on that list was the team that lost to the Vikings at home? So
Isn't that weird? Man?
it's weird.
Football's
Yeah,
weird. Football.
it is.
I
It's
think-
weird. It changes so much week to week.
Oh yeah, but that's why we're fans of the sport because it likes to raise our blood pressure to extremely unhealthy levels.
Mhm.
But on the plus side, let's move
Week
on.
9 coming up. Week 9. We have week 9 coming up in one day.
One day, hey, the time the show releases later that day, we'll be having Thursday Night Football. But that's going to wrap it for us this week, ladies and gentlemen. This has been our NFL Week 8 recap, and it's been a lot of fun. I mean, the best takes. I'm really. If you haven't noticed, I'm really proud of myself, Matt Ryan.
I mean, I love
It's-
that you got me so fired up to go out there. I'm gonna scour the internet this tonight.
Please.
Probably not
I
gonna
haven't
sleep for a
seen
little
it.
bit. I got to be up at 4:30 tomorrow, but
Screw
I'm
that.
going to be up so late trying to find out if there's been any talks, any rumors about Matt Ryan to the Niners or anything about like, any tweets that Kyle Shanahan had about complimenting Matt Ryan or anything like that. I'm like, oh, that's it. I'm going to look for it.
Has
So,
John
you
Lynch
know,
like said the word Matt at all? Oh,
yeah,
has
that's
John Lynch
maybe
had
talking about
ice
Matt
in his
LaFleur.
cup of water?
Yeah, anything like that, man. That got me fired up. So
I love
great
it.
to be back. Love week 8 was incredible. Week 9 is looking even better. So
Well,
let's get to it.
hey, and you guys know where to check us out. Of course, look for us, www.thefourthandlong.com. That is the best place to go. And on that website, you can go to the apparel page. Then you click on that, and it will take you to find a very good-looking shirt like that. Or you can
Great
see
merch.
this pretty nice sweatshirt. I mean, it's actually the felt, man. The felt just sells. It's so soft on the inside. And then we got crew necks. Now we got long sleeves. We've had all of our premium T-shirts. We got the tank tops and stuff. I know it's getting a little cold here in the States, but the sun's still out, so the guns still have to be out. That's the rules.
on.
Okay. And then of course one of the biggest things right now, if you listen to the UFC show, you will know on Friday we'll be releasing one of the most anticipated interviews in show history. The Guitar Hero, Justin James, a UFC fighter who's just literally his story is out of a movie. He debuted back in June 20th on that Saturday. And before that Tuesday, he wasn't even on the UFC roster. He had debt collectors coming after him. You are not going to want to miss this. He's a phenomenal guy, and we talk about some really fun stuff. And you'll find out if he's what's his favorite video game too. You'll find that one out. That's going to wrap it. Alex, thank you so much for making your highly anticipated return
Great
to
to
the
be
show.
back.
I know the fans like you, man. Give yourself a little
Appreciate it.
good job. You're good at what you do. And then of course me, you already know what you get with me. But ladies and gentlemen, enjoy NFL Week 9. Enjoy that Justin James interview. Then just check out the rest of our stuff. A lot of fun. We talked to some UFC this week. And some really crazy stuff going on in the world of sports, at least. And everything else, you already know. We don't need to talk about that. But enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much for listening to the end. And we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Peace.